Good afternoon. I'm Rob Hendin here at CBS News. I'm joined by Scott Conroy of Real Clear Politics. And Scott, you just have a post yesterday about Sarah Palin that's caught a lot of attention. Tell me what's your headline there?
Well, she's heading back to Iowa, and of course, anytime a prospective presidential candidate does that, people's heads start spinning, and especially with Sarah Palin. She's been quiet over the past month or so, but I'm told that she's basically been immersing herself in policy and studying up, and that a campaign is at least still possible, if not likely.
So you've said prospective candidate, and a lot of people, that's the big question, it seems like. Do you think she's running? Is she a prospective candidate?
I mean, I just put it this way. I've been covering her pretty closely, probably too closely, for 3 years now, and writing a lot about her. And I was on her campaign plane in '08 and co-wrote a book about her, and probably been thinking and writing too much about her. And I've never, out of all the people that I've talked to in her inner circle, and I do talk to them pretty frequently, I've never heard any of them suggest that a campaign is less likely than not. And so I think until she says that she's not in the race, we have to assume that in the end she's probably going to want to get in.
But this has been her kind of history since being on the ticket with McCain, that she's kind of toyed with the American public, toyed with the media, putting one foot in and kind of quickly pulling it out. We started with the bus tour. We thought that was going to lead to other things that didn't. Is this just her, she's got the movie out, is this just her going to Iowa to get some attention as everyone else is kind of in Iowa and around Iowa leading up to that, and then nothing happens?
That's certainly the conventional wisdom, and I think that's certainly what most people, especially in D.C., kind of think when they look at what she's up to. Everyone sort of assumes that this is all about attention and maybe money, and but I sort of have a different view of it. I mean, I really think that she believes that she can win and that she can be president of the United States, as she said. And I think, again, until she says that she's not in the race, I know that there is probably more of a method to her madness than she's led on. I mean, she likes to say that she hasn't really thought this through, but I can tell you that she's thinking about it. And even in this last part of the bus tour, when we talked to, I spoke to Todd for a bit, and he was very, very much defensive almost of the idea that they weren't prepared for this. He said this family has been through the gauntlet before. We didn't just come out of nowhere, and so he seemed very gung ho, which is what I've heard from several other people. And of course, spouses are very instrumental to these decisions, as we saw with Mitch Daniels and some of the other candidates.
You look at another person we're thinking about getting in is Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, and he's often said he doesn't have the fire in his belly, but the roadmap looks pretty good for a Perry candidacy. With Palin, she said she has the fire, but it's the roadmap that everyone looks at and says, well, we know she wants to run. We know she wants to be president, but can she do it? And my question is, with Michelle Bachmann getting a lot of attention and now getting a lot of knives in the back because she's surging, with a possible Perry, does Palin have room? Is there room for Palin in the Republican nomination?
I mean, it's an interesting point you brought up, and I think a lot of people have always thought, there's a way that you go about winning, especially in Iowa. You have to be there early and often. And I think that this cycle might really change all of that. I mean, look at the candidates who have been to Iowa, who have built the biggest infrastructures. Tim Pawlenty, Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich. I mean, Pawlenty, maybe he is doing better than he was before, but there hasn't been much traction for those guys. And so for someone like Perry and Palin, if they get in, after the straw poll and they start taking off, and Bachmann, look, she just got in a few weeks ago and really surged to the lead, that might challenge all of that. So I don't think we can say just yet that there's not room for her. I mean, look, she's a magnet. She has an uncanny ability to draw excitement and draw people to her cause. And if she did run, I think she would make pains to really run almost like a wonky campaign, detail-oriented, because she knows the knock on her is that she's not substantive, and so she knows that she has to combat that. So I just wouldn't write her off, and she's one of those politicians that always seems to benefit from being underestimated.
And you've often said, and when we've discussed this previously, that with Iowa, it was all about organization, but she's the kind of person who could walk in a room and say, hey, I'm coming, and 15,000 people will just immediately show up. So she's got a big following.
Right.
And the question's going to be, okay, say she does okay in Iowa, say she gets in. The wonkiness, people don't think of her as that.
Right.
Can she come and get over those preconceived notions that people have built from her from the past campaign?
It's not going to be easy. I mean, there's no doubt about that. She has this movie that's out, and it's about her governorship, and a lot of people that love her have seen it. I'm told that people that maybe are a little more mixed in their views of her, when they see it, they come away thinking that she's better than what they thought before. But of course, it's going to be harder to get that out to a mass audience. It's a 2-hour film. It's not easy to get people to sit through that. They're doing their best. I mean, clearly that is part of her thinking here. That movie. She's got a lot of work to do, though. This is not going to be easy. But one thing I would say about her drawing big crowds, I mean, that's obviously true. But there's something that I say this all the time that people, again, underestimate about Palin. She is a great retail politician in the mode of Bill Clinton. That's really the only person that I can compare it to. When she walks into a room, when she meets people, shakes hands with them, I mean, she has this, not only a star quality, but this ability to make people, feel like they're the only person in the room that all of the other candidates in the field, I'm telling you, they would love to have, but they don't have it. So you can't underestimate that.
Well, that'll be interesting. Well, Scott Conroy of Real Clear Politics, thank you very much. We will definitely be watching. And for more on politics and Palin, stay tuned to CBSNews.com. Have a good day.